eternal garden. Beneath a veil of mist, tucked away from the modern world, lay Hawthorne Estate, a sprawling property that had once been the jewel of the countryside. The estate was famous not for its grand architecture or sprawling lands, but for its gardens. People traveled from miles away to see the gardens, rumored to be enchanted, with flowers that never wilted and trees that bore fruit regardless of the season. For years, the estate was abandoned, left to time and nature after the last owner, Lady Eleanor Hawthorne, vanished mysteriously. Locals whispered tales of magic, curses, and lost love, but no one dared to enter the estate. It stood untouched, the gardens still flourishing, as though time had forgotten them too. That was, until Eliza, a young botanist, arrived in the village. Eliza was drawn to strange, unexplainable phenomena, and the rumors of the Hawthorne Gardens fascinated her. She had come to study plants for her thesis, but the mystery of the gardens pulled her in. She convinced the town's mayor to let her explore the estate, promising to document its unusual flora. On her first day, Eliza entered through the iron gates, her heart racing as she took her first steps into the legendary garden. The air was thick with the fragrance of roses, lilies, and herbs, but something about the place felt off. The flowers were too perfect, their colors too vibrant, and the trees too lush, untouched by the changing seasons. As she wandered deeper into the garden, Eliza found something unexpected, a hidden pathway, overgrown and concealed beneath twisting vines. Without hesitation, she followed it. The path led her to a large, circular clearing, in the center of which stood an enormous oak tree, its branches sprawling out like arms protecting a secret. Beneath the tree was an ancient stone bench and, next to it, a book resting on the grass, as if someone had just left it there. Eliza hesitated before picking up the book. It was old, its leather cover worn and cracked, but as she opened it, she realized it was a journal. The handwriting was delicate, flowing, and the first entry was dated over 100 years ago. It belonged to Lady Eleanor herself. The entries started innocently enough. Eleanor had written about the garden, her love for nature, and her fascination with the strange, eternal life that seemed to inhabit it. But as Eliza read on, the tone changed. Eleanor had begun to notice something strange happening to her as well. While the garden remained untouched by time, she had started to feel the same. Her skin had stopped aging, and years passed with her still looking no older than the day she had taken over the estate. At first, Eleanor embraced it. Who wouldn't want to live forever, surrounded by such beauty? But soon, the reality of her situation became unbearable. People she loved grew old and died, while she remained. The garden was not a gift, she realized, but a curse. The final entry in the journal was short, hurried, and smeared with ink, as though written in haste. It spoke of a ritual, a way to undo the enchantment, but it required a sacrifice. Eleanor had decided to leave the garden, knowing that if she stayed, she would be trapped forever, bound to the land and its unnatural magic. Aliza's hands shook as she closed the journal. Was this the reason for Eleanor's disappearance? Had she found a way to break free from the curse of the garden? Or had something darker happened to her in her final attempt? As the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the garden, Aliza felt an overwhelming sense of dread. She knew she had to leave, but something stopped her, an invisible force pulling her deeper into the garden, towards the oak tree. The branches swayed gently, though there was no wind. Suddenly, a figure appeared at the edge of the clearing. It was a woman, her figure obscured by the twilight, but her presence unmistakable. Aliza's breath caught in her throat. Was this Eleanor? The woman walked slowly towards the tree, her footsteps soundless against the grass, until she stood beneath its massive branches. "Aliza," the woman whispered, though her voice was carried on the breeze as though from far away. "How do you know my name?" Aliza asked, stepping forward despite her fear. "You must leave this place," the woman said, "or you will become what I am, bound to the garden, forever." Aliza's heart pounded. "Are you Eleanor?" The woman nodded, her face still hidden in the shadows. "I tried to escape, but I was too late. The garden claimed me, as it will claim you if you do not leave." "But how?" Aliza asked, desperate for answers. "There is a way," Eleanor whispered, her voice fading as she began to step back into the mist. "But it comes with a price." Aliza ran towards her, but Eleanor's form dissolved into the twilight, leaving her alone beneath the ancient oak. The garden seemed to close in around her, the once beautiful flowers now ominous, their perfect petals hiding the dark secrets of the estate. Terrified, Aliza fled, racing through the winding paths until she reached the iron gates. She didn't stop until she was back in the village, her heart still racing, the journal clutched tightly in her hand. That night, as she lay in bed, Aliza thought about what Eleanor had said. The garden was a prison, a beautiful trap that would claim anyone who lingered too long. She knew she had to go back, to find a way to break the curse before it consumed her too. But the more she thought about it, the more she realized that the garden's power was already working its way into her mind, pulling her back. The next morning, Aliza made her decision. She would return to the estate one last time, not to study the plants, but to free herself from the garden's grip before it was too late. But deep down, she knew that the garden had already begun to claim her. And once it had you, it never truly let go.